You are listening to the Earplug Podcast Network, a Fanboys Inc. production.
If you're passionate for what you love and you're serious about it, when you see our cameras at the show, then we want to talk about it. Fair weather fans need not apply. We seek nerds that are true.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of the Angry Geek Show. Jeremy's not here because it's his birthday, but I am with the one and only Joe St.Pierre, creator of the new Zodiacs. Joe, what's going on?
What's up? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're
Happy
welcome.
Birthday, Jeremy. Thank you once again for not showing up when I'm on the show.
Yeah, this is the second time. The first time you were here live in the Geek Lair, Jeremy didn't show up, and now here you are Skyping in. Big signing today. I heard it went very well.
Good. We sold a copy of the new Zodiacs for my Kickstarter, so it went well.
Great. How is the Kickstarter going?
It's going really well. We're about $160 off from the goal.
Well, I'm going to be donating tonight. Jeremy and I wanted to have you on the show before we made our donations. We made a donation to the first Kickstarter. We are waiting for this money. You were on the rest. You saved the best for last. We're making a donation tonight. So
that's cool.
If you're going to have it now, the Kickstarter ends soon. So
it ends on Tuesday at 11 o'clock.
Tuesday at 11.
Today's Saturday, so less than 4 days now.
Okay, so
that's why I've got this hat on, because my hair is all pulled out. It looks like a wreck.
All right, so look at this.
Nervous wreck.
The Kickstarter ends, but people still want to donate. How can we go about that? How can we make that happen?
Oh, that's a good question. I never thought of it. I haven't thought beyond Tuesday yet. I imagine I'll put up a sign or some kind of contact info if you want to pre-order it. But the book will be in comic shops in December, so it's solicited in this month's issue of Diamond Previews.
Awesome.
So it'll be out in stores officially in December.
Okay, so
the thing that makes the Kickstarter unique is that I will do a remark drawing inside the front cover for everyone who pre-orders it via the Kickstarter. So you get an exclusive little something extra, a little more value for your dollar. And as a token of my thank you for doing it through Kickstarter. Awesome.
But I was just thinking, somebody walks up to you at a con and said, Joe, I could not make it to the Kickstarter. My car broke down. This happened, but I want to donate to the Kickstarter now. And pops a 20, 25, 50 a C-note on the table in front of you. Is that acceptable?
That will be acceptable when I have books in my hand, or maybe we could work out a pre-order kind of scenario.
Okay.
We can do something like that.
I just wanted to put that out there for those who cannot make it to that Kickstarter. I want to make sure that they
One
can still
important thing to keep note of is if we don't meet the goal, it's $4,900. I'm just looking for the printing costs. So if we don't, the thing about Kickstarter is if we don't meet that goal, I don't have the cash to print the books, so there are no books. So that's why I try to do my best to make sure that everybody knows about the Kickstarter, that we meet our financial goals. That way there are more books, in the future. So the first volume of the new Zodiacs, which assembles the first 4 issues, that's sold out. So that's what this Kickstarter is all about. Mm-hmm. This is essentially the second printing, which I call the new edition. And then ideally, if we meet some of the stretch goals, I'll start adding new material to the book in addition to what was already in the first edition. So that's why I call it a new or enhanced edition. Okay. So the possibility is there to have new stuff in there.
Awesome.
That's the idea.
Awesome.
Yeah, it'd be cool. We have a new cover already. That's a guarantee. This is a new cover by myself and inked by DC superstar Rob Hunter.
Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad.
Very good.
That's right. Hey, King of DC right here. Look at that. That's amazing. You see that right there above my head? Right there.
Look at these special effects. Look out.
Only here on public access television do you get stuff like that.
That's right.
All right. New Zodiac. It's hot. It's great. People love it. Jeremy and I argue over our favorite characters. Has anyone come up? Cricket all the way for me. I mean, she's the tortured soul of the group.
Well said.
She's telling people, not to give anything away from the book, but she tells her clients, per se, not to do this, but yet she does it herself. Very tortured soul. My favorite character. Jeremy likes lying because for some reason he thinks that he looks like lying, but I totally doubt it. Has anyone else come up to you and say, I relate to this character, or this is my favorite character?
Are you kidding me? It happens quite often, actually. People who have actually read it. This is the guy who Jeremy thinks he looks like.
No, that's Cricket. You're showing Cricket.
Oh, sorry. How's this?
Yeah, there you go. There's the lion right there.
That's the guy. There's a little bit of a resemblance, but
not really.
A hell of a lot.
Not really. So, what? I mean, how does that make you feel when someone comes up to you and says, Joe, this character really hit home. I really enjoy this character. How does that make you feel?
Oh, it's quite awesome. It makes me feel like when I was a child and I was reading comics, or I was a young fan myself, and I was like, oh my God, Wolverine's got $6 million worth of adamantium in his system. This is awesome. I want to tell somebody about this.
What's
3 million actually, but when people come to me, that's kind of part of the reason why I got into the business is I wanted to entertain people the way I was entertained when I read comics. So when people come up to me and they say, hey, this guy reminds me of me when I was young. Holy crap. Very cool.
Okay, so what character in the newsie, we have not asked this before, what character is very much Joe St.Pierre?
Pug. That's hard to say because they all have facets of me in them.
Okay.
I guess maybe the Liberator is me as a teenager. Cricket is me, trying to correct the wrongs of the world or understand, what's going on after we all die. Malta is the family aspect. And Leo is probably something that I would aspire to be, some kind of character type that I would aspire to be like.
Okay, cool.
So, I can't shake the idea that, I created them, so they're all probably going to be facets of me in there somewhere. Like sugar in a pie. It's in there somewhere.
It's in there somewhere. Who's your favorite newsie, or has that character not debuted yet?
Well, I guess I don't really have a favorite. I think the one that I'm working on at the moment is probably my favorite. So, lately I've been getting a lot of Malta attention. Like, some people really like giant monsters and stuff like that. I talked to a guy today, Duncan, at the signing, and he's into, the giant monster genre, like King Kong and Godzilla. We both hated the last Godzilla movie, and we both liked the last King Kong movie. Yeah, the last Godzilla movie was a piece of crap.
Really? I like it. Did you like Skull Island?
I did. Yeah, I thought it was fun.
Okay. Wow.
But the Godzilla one I liked the monster. I thought the creature looked great. It was fairly well designed. His head was a little bit small, but I understand, when you want to show scale, you reduce the size of the head a little bit more. So, but the story itself was just junk. I couldn't wait for the humans to get killed by Godzilla. I just couldn't wait. I was just like, dude, freaking kill them already, will you please? Just get down to business. At least Kong was more entertaining in that kind of giant monster genre. So lately I've got people a couple of podcasts ago that the last two I think both mentioned Malta. They like the character. They like certain story bits. I put a twist on Malta that I haven't seen in other monster movies. There's a family angle to it. And, so it depends on where we are, when we are. When the book first came out, it was all Liberator. And then when the third issue came out, it was all Cricket. Like, people would just come up to the table and say, I really love Cricket. I didn't even say anything to them, They would just come up to me. And I was like, oh, I love Cricket too. That's so cool. And so it goes in waves, and then the lion went in waves, like you and Jeremy and a bunch of other people at about the same time. We're like, oh, I got to see more lion. I love that, Egyptian angle and stuff. So,
well,
it comes in waves.
My view of Moltar, parent, not to give anything away of anyone who hasn't read the book, which you should have read already. If you haven't,
it's okay. I think it's fair to give spoilers because it's been out for a while.
Well, shame on you if you haven't read it. Moltar being a parent and just being disfigured in front of everyone, you brought back the creature. I mean, the monster creature, in my opinion, the original was always the Thing. And then, of course, comes the Hulk. But you really took this and you mixed. You got the Thing and you mix it with the Hulk and a little bit of Metamorpho, put them together, and this big hulking Herculoid, the classic cartoon. Yeah, you got this huge creature, and it's just, is it good? Is it bad? You don't know. You really captured it, and you knocked it out of the park with that character. I just want to say that.
Do you have any Herculoids on your shelf back
No, I don't have any Herculoids. The Geek Lair is all DC. We really have to get you back in the Geek Lair. We really have to get you back here because this is, we tried for a couple weeks, Joe. I'm looking over my shoulder at you on the screen here. Over this way. We really need to get you back here, so this is what we got to do. We're going to take a quick break and try to come up with some dates to have Joe back in the Geek Lair, and I'll be right back. And we're back with the one and only Joe St.Pierre. Joe, you worked on Venom, Wolverine, Spider-Man, the Green Lantern, Batman, Aquaman, a team book. Was it the Titans?
The teen book I did was for Valiant. It was called Secret Weapons.
There you go. And you also worked on The Outsiders, correct?
Oh, yeah, Outsiders.
Okay.
That's right. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah.
What would I do without you?
It happens all the time. The geek goes to the people that we most admire, and we're like, well, remember you did this? And they're like, oh, yeah, I did do that.
People go, what have you done? And I give them your number. So.
How much of the new Z is inspired by your past works? Meaning, I remember when I did this panel for Venom vs. Wolverine, and if I can just change it a little bit, I can have the lion do this. Is there anything like that in the new Z? Anything that's little, like Easter eggs? A fan of this book will remember when I did something sort of like this. Do you do any Easter eggs?
That is an excellent question.
Like I said, you were on the rest, now you're on the best.
I'm trying to think. The only thing that comes to mind are like some of the covers. One of the covers I did was a clear Eisner swipe. I don't think I have it with me. Let's see. The cover for issue 3 variant, it was the block letters of the dregs.
Yep.
And the Liberator was up at the top of the block letters, and then the dregs gang were kind of interspersed across the letters. That's a clear knockoff of an Eisner splash from a story called City Below. And it's also an homage to Steranko, who was also influenced by Eisner.
Cool.
So, as far as those kind of homages, or that kind of Easter eggy kind of stuff, that's the only thing that comes to mind. But I'd have to think about it as far as like if I'm retooling or reworking ideas that I've done myself. That I'm not sure I did. Good question, though. If something comes up, I'll let you know during the course of the show.
Well, that's just something
for you. Find out, Sonia. Could you find my book, the new Zodiac book? It should be around somewhere.
You know what? Let's take another quick break so Joe can find the book, and we'll be right back.
Okay, yeah, let me find the book, and I'll see. It's a good question, worth addressing.
All right, we'll be right back. And we're back with Joe St.Pierre. Did you find your book, sir? Yes, you did.
I found it. It's falling apart, but I found it.
What do you mean you found it? It's a collector's item. That's Joe.
Pages are falling out of this one.
All right, for those
I've read
of you,
it so many times.
For those of you listening on the Earplug Podcast Network, Joe is doing the most sacrilegious thing that you can ever do to a comic, which is break the spine, bend it back and forth. I mean, look what he's doing. Joe, you don't do that. You are a comic creator. You should know better than to do something like that.
I should know better than to manhandle my comic books.
Yes, you should.
This thing could be worth $4 or $5 in the future.
$7.50. So
Here's something that I brought to the new Zodiac series.
Mhm.
It's the equivalent of the rolling credits in a TV show. It's also what they used to do in the Golden Age comics, especially the Golden Age DC comics, when they'd have multiple stories of multiple characters. Like, say, More Fun Comics had Spectre, Hawkman, and Sandman in it, right? So right up your alley, right?
right up my alley, you know me.
So each story introduced the characters, so you could kind of cleanse your reading palette. You could tell, okay, the Spectre story's done. Now this is the Hawkman story. Because they always used to do a half-page splash, which kind of introduced the character and talked about what their abilities were. So this is my homage to that kind of thing. I'm introducing the character. It's more or less a pinup. But it kind of talks about or gives you a sense of the essence of the character. So this is the Liberators, I guess you would call it an opening credits. Let's see here. Oh, jeez.
Now that's also the
my
Liberator
God.
that you're wearing on your T-shirt.
That is. This is a Liberator tee, also available on the Kickstarter.
When's their cricket T-shirt gonna be ready? Because I would sport that.
There is a cricket T-shirt for the cover. The cover of issue 3 is a T-shirt, which I thought was quite great. Here is the opening credits for the Lion. And these are kind of, I would call them like opening credits for a TV show, or those introductory splash pages.
So what made you want to do?
They used to do in Golden Age comics. This is a T-shirt.
Yep, there's the cricket T-shirt right there. What made you want to do that? I mean, one day were you just sitting at the drawing table and said, "Remember when the comics used to do this? Let's do that now."
There's a little bit of that, and there's also me reading comics nowadays, and sometimes, I'm not familiar with the characters.
Okay, speaking of that, what does Joe St.Pierre collect today?
Joe St.Pierre goes to the library and reads graphic novel compilations of the various stuff.
Nice.
If I buy anything, it's usually back issue stuff. Spider-Man, X-Men, Daredevil, Frank Miller's Daredevil.
Okay, let me ask you a question because I have to. Do you buy any of your old stuff? Do you go to a shop and look for your own stuff?
That's a good question. No, I don't.
You don't? Why?
Why? Because I've got this. It's called the new Zodiacs. It's my own properties, and they're so much better. There's so much, really, honestly, there's so much better than the stuff that I did back in the day. I'm a better writer, I'm a better artist, I'm a better producer of content, I'm a better everything now. So people do come to the table and say, do you have any of these books? And I'm like, I'd say, I send them on a treasure hunt. You can go in the dollar bins of any convention. If you're patient enough and you've got a sharp enough eye, you'll find a bunch of my stuff in the dollar bins. So
well, it's funny. My son Cody.
Yeah, sure.
We
Yeah, he led me in the wrong direction at the
Terrific Con. But he fixed it. He fixed it.
Yeah, he corrected it. What's up?
When he and I go to flea markets, and we always, if you're a true geek, you go to a flea market because you got to look for those comics because you never know when you're going to find a diamond. Whenever we come across a Spider-Man 2099, whenever we come across a Spider-Man, whenever we come across any Valiant book, we open it up immediately to see if we know the artist. So I was like,
cool.
Is that Joe's book? No. Birds of Prey. Is that Jack's book, meaning Jack Purcell? No. Duh. And we're like tossing these books.
Then you just throw it away.
Yeah. We do it quite often. So that's why I asked you that question, is I wanted you to know that we do this when any flea market, and the flea markets that have the consignment ones, the people at the register see us coming in and they're like, oh God, we're going to have mess clean up. Because we know exactly what booths usually have comics, and we just dig through them and say, is this Joe? No. Is this Jack? No. And we end up with this big pile because we're looking for your stuff.
A pile of stuff you're not going to buy.
Yes.
I'm sure the vendors love you for that.
Oh,
see
yeah.
you later. I didn't see anything.
Yeah, we didn't want
Clean
anything.
this up for me.
We do it.
Back next week.
We do it all the time.
That's cool.
Fan perception of the book. Obviously, it's very high. The fans love it. We just talked T-shirts, but that was my next question. Any other type of New Z merchandise in the making? Posters, maybe action figures, anything. 'Cause, I mean, we can do this. We have a vast network. You have a network. Any other type of merchandise going to be available within the next few years?
Within the next few years, yeah, that'd be awesome. Right now, I mean, I'm concentrating on content, but yeah, if you guys know anybody who's interested in doing licensing and stuff like that, that'd be awesome. I have spoken to people who do like stickers and not prints, but pins. You know, these kind of like enamel pins that you can wear and stuff like that. I also have my own prints. I do like 11 by 17 prints of like certain covers and pinups and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm pretty much game for anything. I'd love to see like an 8-inch Mego style, fully posable, Liberator or Lion character. I think that'd be sweet.
Yeah, wouldn't it be? That's why I had to ask.
Yes. The Liberator works for the classic mold, the Mego mold, because he's kind of really thin kind of character.
Body type A?
Yes. But the Lion, he needs to be bulkier.
Well, they can always use the old, body type B was Conan. When they made Conan.
He could be a Conan, yeah.
And Thor were both body type B. And both of them, if you remember right, they had the hole in the head so their helmets can stick on.
So poor Thor had to get a spike in his head.
Yes, that's right.
A helmet on his head.
That's right. He had a bald spot with a hole in his head. Cosplay.
I love that Thor figure. I loved it.
I still have my Batman, my Mr. Spock, two of my Batmans, Mr. Spock, my Superman, and my Penguin, plus the Batmobile. You saw all of them, but the Superman is not my original one from a child. I actually found that at a flea market for very little money. They didn't know what they had.
I gotta follow you around at these flea markets.
The door is open. You gotta come down and have some fun with us. You gotta come down.
All right. I gotta get a car that can make it past 100 miles.
Cosplay. Has anyone cosplayed as a character from the New Z yet?
That's a good question too. Not yet, but people discuss it with me. They ask, can I do this? Yeah. So I've had two people I can think of in particular. One person wants to be Cricket, and one person wants to be the Liberator.
Okay.
So I was like, yeah, sure, go ahead.
They asked you permission?
Yeah. I don't know why, but
that must have been that must have been very flattering.
Yeah. Definitely. Sure.
So, what character would you like to see someone cosplay as?
I really don't care. I mean, cosplay for me is really a reflection of, hopefully, someone having the same reaction I did when I was reading comics, but they expressed that passion by, dressing as the character. So, anybody who's moved by any of my characters, I don't really mind at all. I think it doesn't matter who the character would be. I did talk to somebody at Terrificon who had that big, massive foam Galactus.
Yep.
Do you remember that
Decimated
guy?
Designs.
Yes, well done. Playing with the idea one day when I've got a large budget of doing like a stand-up of Multa, because Multa is like building-sized creature, right?
Mm-hmm.
So imagine like a bust of Multa with the lava pouring out of her eyes, and you can kind of like stand underneath it and get your picture taken or something like that. I thought that would be a great idea.
It would be an idea. Speaking of Multa, why a woman? Not that there's anything wrong with it. But you never seen. Now, this is very original, and to my knowledge, not counting She-Hulk, not counting Tigra, not counting any sexy per se female monsters. Why a woman for a grotesque thing-like creature? That was a question the first time I read the book. I'm like, this is so unique. This is so badass. Why choose a woman?
Short answer is you answered it. My answer is why not? Hasn't been done. And that's one of the things that I like about the new Z is the mission statement isn't to just do another Batman or another Punisher. It's to come up with something that's unique, to take these familiar tropes in the genre and put my spin on them. So one of the things that I'm kind of bent on is that, half the population of the planet is men and women. So the Zodiacs will reflect that population. So at least 6 of the characters are going to be women. And so as I was started to roll them out and the Sagittarius, the giant volcano creatures started to germ in my head, I was like, what if we made this giant monster a woman?
Well, it's a heartbreaking story. And just making it a woman was like even more. And as I was reading it, I was like, this has never been done before. There was never a woman that became grotesque. There was other transformed, per se, women, but they all came up sexy. Cheetah, very sexy. She-Hulk, very... Seriously, very sexy. Poison Ivy, sexy. There's no one that was grotesque, except for unless you're talking about Granny Goodness, but she was made that way. There was no one...
She's not a monster character
no
either. She's just a horrible person.
Very horrible person. But
just a monster in spirit, not as physical.
Yeah, I mean, any female character that was transformed still came out to be a sex pot. Big boob, nice hips with curves all in the right places.
Right.
Multa was transformed into the thing. But
there's plenty of room for everything, and I just thought, just like you said, what haven't we seen? That's basically my attitude. It's okay, have we seen, giant, sexy lava monster with a big butt and boobs? Not really, but, have we seen a woman as, kind of assume this role? No, so why not try it? It was the same with the Lion, it's... The last podcast I was on, there was a gentleman there who said, thank you for making a prominent black character, because there really aren't that many.
No, I mean,
5% of the population of the superhero universes is maybe black characters. So I was like, the first man who looks up into the stars and creates constellations from those stars and creates a mythology from those constellations, he probably came where man began, right? Which is the center of the Africa continent, or whatever that continent looked like X hundreds of thousands of years ago.
Well, again,
so, just by basic math, that guy is probably going to be a black man. So, why not? Possibly the most powerful character in the cast. I'm not sure of that yet, but we'll see.
Well, again,
so why not?
Again, with Moltar and with Lion, you knocked them out of the park. You did what what was never done before. We're going to take another break, and we'll be right back with Joe St.Pierre. Not about me, it's about you, it's about the Kickstarter. Make sure you go and help donate to Joe's Kickstarter. Support the new Z. Go and find him at a con. You're going to be at Rhode Island too, Joe?
I'm going to be at Rhode Island. That's all I can remember right now, but there's another one in there somewhere.
All right, so you make sure you find Joe at Super Mega Fest. Make sure you find Joe at Rhode Island Comic Con. Support the new Z. This is Louis Perry for the Angry Geek Show, for Jeremy Courtney. You can find us on the Earplug Podcast Network, and you can find Joe at these links right here.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for being on, Joe. We'll see you soon.
That was fun.
And we'll talk to you later. Bye.
This has been an Earplug Podcast presentation. Found on earplugpodcast.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, and wherever your favorite podcasts are found.